He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Oh, hey, Jimmy.
I know you must be excited. Your guy Trump won the election. Congratulations.
Too soon, Jimmy. Too soon.
Do you expect a cabinet position? I mean, how have you been able to digest this? Or are you still in that shock mode?
Jimmy, I'm a black woman and a lesbian. How the hell you think I'm doing?
Picture a man so desperate for applause that he claps for himself at his own rallies, then pretends he heard thunderous cheers when it was just the sound of empty folding chairs being stacked. That's the magic of Donald Trump, the president who mistakes his reflection for a fan and his critics for fake news. And now, with Jimmy Kimmel's sarcasm and Wanda Sykes' savage wit, every bloated brag and half-baked idea gets shredded into confetti that not even his loyal merch table could resell.
I mean, that's you know, it's really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a
I mean, Mr.
Son
His royal... Yes, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I mean, I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs.
We were talking about President Trump's first 100 days. I'm just curious, what's your assessment about how it's going?
Horrible. I mean, the ratings are showing. I mean,
yeah.
I think gout has a higher approval rating.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Jimmy Kimmel wastes no time pointing out that Trump treats the Oval Office like a green room for his personal reality show. Every decision looks less like policy and more like a rehearsal for the world's longest blooper reel. If national security could be improved with mugshots and golf carts, then maybe Trump would have a legacy, but since it requires actual work, the result is chaos sprinkled with bad spray tan.
Republicans forced an early recess over the summer to avoid having to vote on whether to release the Epstein files, which many of them do not want to do because it would upset Orange Julius Caesar bigly. So they kicked the can in the hopes that, I don't know, we'd be hit by a tidal wave or something, it would wash away, but it didn't wash away. So they tried another dumb idea. Again, this time the House Oversight Committee released some of the Epstein files, around 33,000 pages of the Epstein files, the vast majority of which had already been released. You would think that of all the cases, the one for Jeffrey Epstein would get a full release, but no.
Wanda Sykes jumps in, saying Trump doesn't even try to hide the fact that he governs the same way a toddler hides candy, poorly, loudly, and with chocolate smeared all over his face. His calendar looks like a buffet of rallies and vacations, while the small details, like the economy wobbling or foreign leaders mocking him, get shoved under the rug like a bad toupee glued too high on the forehead.
What's your opinion of why it went this way, why Americans voted the way we did?
Sometimes America is just gonna America, you know? I mean, there's so many reasons why you could say, it happened, but I think, a lot of us aren't, like, totally shocked. But it's like, okay, you get your hopes up and you think you move forward. And honestly, I blame those damn, Cheerio commercials and showing all those interracial couples. You scared the out of white people.
Kimmel calls him the only president who can walk into a room full of experts and somehow leave dumber than when he arrived. Policy briefings go in one ear and out the other, stopping briefly to bounce off his ego before vanishing into thin air. Imagine watching a man nod sagely while being told how tariffs work, only for him to immediately ask if that means he gets to put his name on more buildings.
Now, there was some new information in the documents. Contrary to what Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi said, there was video of that missing minute of security footage shot outside Epstein's cell. That footage somehow this footage got re-edited more times than the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. And it's a big problem for Trump because the push to release the names isn't just coming from the left. This is a bipartisan effort. It's coming from inside the House. Hardcore conspiracy theorists have joined arms with Democrats to push for a vote on this.
Wanda isn't done. She points out the irony that Trump loves calling himself a deal maker, yet every deal he touches crumbles faster than one of his cheap hotel buffets. Trade agreements collapse, allies drift, and the only consistent thing is the oversized signature at the bottom of documents that mostly undo his own previous orders. If irony could be weaponized, Trump's pen would be classified as a national threat.
Well, what do you think? What do you think? Like he could do to maybe make things better?
Resign?
Yeah.
I know. But at least, at least he was a little smarter this time. Just a little, because the first term, he surrounded himself by somewhat competent people, right?
Yeah.
But then they all realized that he was an idiot and they quit.
Yeah.
This time he's like, I want all dummies.
Kimmel reminds everyone that the president has a unique skill, transforming disasters into punchlines. The pandemic wasn't just mishandled, it was mismanaged with the enthusiasm of a game show host announcing the wrong winner. Every time he claimed it would disappear magically, it lingered like one of his lawsuits. It wasn't just denial, it was denial mixed with stage lighting and a soundtrack of bad campaign music. Wanda sharpens the knife further by pointing at his obsession with crowd size. Imagine leading a country of over 300 million people, but losing sleep over how many showed up to stand in the rain for you. Trump measures leadership in the same way a high schooler measures popularity: Instagram likes, exaggerated stories, and a complete misunderstanding of reality. The world watches, not impressed, but entertained the same way people rubberneck at a car crash. Kimmel chuckles that every time Trump speaks, the teleprompter tries to escape. Words leap off the screen, syntax collapses, and grammar files for asylum in Canada. The English language has taken more abuse in his speeches than his hair has in a windstorm. Historians in the future will need a translator just to figure out whether he was attempting policy or stand-up comedy at the podium.
With Democrats, to force it, they want to see it all. They want to know who Jeffrey Epstein's friends are, which I have to say, I know who one of them is. He looks like this. The guy, that husky one in the pink tie yes. That is a man Jeffrey Epstein described as his best friend. This guy brazenly pulled Epstein's wing woman, his personal madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, out of real prison last month and transferred her into what is basically a courtyard by Marriott. The woman...
Wanda then drags his obsession with walls, not just border walls, but metaphorical ones too. He builds them around truth, facts, and accountability, stacking bricks of nonsense and mortar of arrogance. And yet, the walls never hold. They collapse under scrutiny like discount furniture sold at his now-defunct casinos. Nothing says leadership like bankrupting casinos, the only business where the house is literally supposed to win. Kimmel adds that Trump's foreign policy works like a family barbecue run by a drunk uncle, insults flying, alliances breaking, and somebody storming off in the middle of dinner. His handshake diplomacy could be replaced by an inflatable tube man flailing outside a car dealership, and it would accomplish just as much. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when ego meets international negotiations, just replay his press conferences with world leaders trying not to laugh. Wanda rolls her eyes at Trump's obsession with being loved. For a man who claims toughness, he whines more than a reality star voted off first. Any criticism becomes treason, any satire becomes fake news, and any fact he doesn't like gets tossed into the shredder of denial. The presidential seal should be replaced with tissues, spray tan bottles, and golf balls because that's the real symbol of his administration.
Oh, God, I don't even know the most, but I mean, I know going after transgender, especially transgender kids, that was like, that was good. Because here's the thing. You're supposed to be trying to fix the problems of America, right? So you target a community that's less than 1% of the population, right? So you're going after, like affirming care as far as like the sex. And it's like, okay, so you're focusing on that, on sex change. It's like, how about focus on climate change that affects everybody instead of sex change?
Kimmel reminds us that Trump loves nicknames, but the real nickname for his presidency is chaos. Stock markets shake, laws wobble, allies flee, and yet he struts like a man convinced he's orchestrating a symphony while the orchestra is on fire. A man who needs note cards reminding him to say hello has the audacity to call himself brilliant. The last time anyone saw genius in Trump's orbit was when an aide figured out how to distract him with a shiny chart during a serious meeting. Kimmel digs into the economy. Trump brags about jobs like he personally hired every worker with his own two hands. Yet, Under his watch, booms crash, deficits balloon, and every claim of greatness ages worse than a banana in the sun. The numbers don't lie, but Trump sure does, turning every downturn into a so-called historic success while ignoring the actual experts waving red flags.
According to the president, this is all another elaborate, made-up Democrat plot to distract us from the historically awesome job he is doing.
I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from two people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
We are almost at the I never met anyone named Jeffrey Epstein part of this.
Wanda takes a jab at his relationship with truth. She says Trump treats truth like an optional side dish at a buffet. Take a little, ignore the rest, and drown it all in ketchup. Fact checkers follow him around like exhausted babysitters chasing a sugar rush child. At some point, the question isn't whether he's lying, but whether he even remembers what reality looks like. Kimmel circles back to his obsession with television. Trump isn't a president who happens to be on TV. He's a TV personality who accidentally stumbled into the presidency. Wanda ends the round by torching his legacy dreams. Trump imagines a presidential library filled with golden escalators and self-portraits, but historians will build it more like a carnival. Funhouse mirrors, rigged games, and cotton candy promises that dissolve the moment you touch them. The exhibits won't show achievements, they'll show bloopers, scandals, and the endless pursuit of applause that never arrived in the way he wanted.
Presidents, they've all aged while in office, right? They age while in office. President Obama went totally gray. His face started drooping, got all droopy in the face. I know one time I was like, is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? George W. Bush, he shrunk 4 inches. At one point, he was looking like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings. Bill Clinton, he grew that bulb on the tip of his nose. What the was that? Bill Clinton looked like the man on the operation board. But not Trump. Nope. He's on executive time. Trump hasn't aged, but we have.
Every corner of that so-called library would be less about governing and more about memorabilia from an ego trip gone national. Instead of documents of statecraft, there would be framed tweets in permanent marker font, proudly displayed as if all caps tantrums counted as diplomacy. Imagine tourists wandering through halls plastered with newspaper clippings that don't celebrate triumphs but chronicle blunders, each headline louder and more embarrassing than the last. He wanted his presidency to feel larger than life, but instead it looked like a traveling circus stumbling from one town to the next, leaving chaos and litter behind. Where other leaders measured success in stability or progress, Trump measured his in-applause breaks as though governance was just another season finale in the reality show running in his head. The library, if it ever exists, will not house policy triumphs. It will be a shrine to self-promotion, complete with gaudy lighting and piped-in crowd noise to give the illusion of importance.
Pigskin. Donald Trump, in his ongoing effort to distract us from the fact that he doesn't want Melania to see the Epstein files, went after Rosie O'Donnell again. He's been threatening to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's American citizenship, which, like peeing standing up, he cannot do.
Kimmel would add that the archives could double as a comedy club, with entire wings devoted to the greatest gaffes of modern politics. Instead of scholarly research rooms, you'd get screenings of press conferences where words collapsed mid-sentence, geography lessons were rewritten on the fly, and basic facts became optional. A library is supposed to preserve knowledge, but Trump's version would preserve delusions, a funhouse of exaggerations masquerading as truth. It wouldn't enlighten future generations, it would confuse them into thinking they'd stumbled onto outtakes from a parody sketch. Wanda sharpens the knife further by pointing out that Trump's attempts at legacy building are as fragile as his casinos once were. That library of his dreams wouldn't need historians, it would need stage managers and lighting crews, ensuring the spotlight always hits him even in archival footage. The joke, of course, is that Trump sees immortality in gold trim and exaggerated scale, but history won't grant him either. He may plaster his name on towers and golf courses, but those crumble or get sold off. The presidency, however, refuses to bend to branding. Every blunder is recorded, every scandal etched into the national memory, every outburst preserved in footage replayed endlessly. The carnival doesn't disappear when the tent comes down. It lives on in the collective laugh of a nation that remembers just how surreal it all was.
For about, I don't know, a month or so ago, that birthday note and that drawing, the Wall Street Journal, the Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal reported Trump made for his buddy Jeffrey Epstein's birthday, the one Trump claimed he did not send and threatened to sue the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for saying he did. Well, we finally got a look at the letter thanks to House Democrats who posted it online today. Now, again, Trump claims he didn't write this or draw this, which would mean someone went back in time to frame him for it. But here it is, and it's written like a movie script. We didn't make that up. This is under the silhouette of a woman's body. It says voiceover.
Kimmel would note that even the so-called achievements Trump trumpets fall apart under examination. The grand deals, the historic moments, the unprecedented moves strip away the hype, and what remains is a trail of half-finished projects and forgotten promises. A library full of empty shelves would be more honest than the charade he envisions. Instead of chronicles of greatness, there would be binders of lawsuits, folders of investigations, and drawers of policy reversals, each one a testament not to vision, but to vanity. Wanda would laugh at the absurdity of a leader desperate to be remembered as monumental, but destined to be remembered as ridiculous. Statues may one day be built, but they'll look less like marble tributes and more like caricatures in bronze, hair sculpted mid-flap, hand outstretched as if still waiting for applause that never comes. The policies were half-written scripts, the rallies were bad sitcom episodes, and the leadership was a laugh track gone rogue. Kimmel and Sykes don't just roast him, they reveal that the joke was always there. The only thing left is deciding whether history files him under tragedy, parody, or both, because ultimately, Trump's era will not be cited in textbooks for brilliance or leadership. It will be cited for absurdity, a reminder of how quickly a democracy can turn into theater when placed in the hands of a man more concerned with ratings than reality. The carnival fades, the tents fold, but the laughter lingers. That is his true archive, not the gilded escalator of fantasy, but the echo of a punchline that outlasts the show.